If you underprice a home and any asset, if you underprice, the market will correct you. If you overprice, it will punish you. 6 years ago, we were in a I want to market. We are now in an I need to market.
The views and opinions expressed by the participants on this show are not necessarily those of Stewart Information Services Corporation, Stewart Title, or Stewart Insurance. Before you make any investment, you should seek the advice of your investment advisor or attorney.
Whether you're a real estate broker, realtor, homeowner, buyer, or seller, everything matters when it comes to real estate. This is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. Stewart Title's Bill Knapik and guests open the door to what really matters in owning, buying, and selling real estate. And now, Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title, brought to you by Stewart Insurance. Here to inform, entertain, and inspire, Bill Knapik.
Welcome to the show. It is Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I'm your host, Bill Knapik. Here we are on show number 614. We're glad that you're joining us here. And every now and then when we have the opportunity, Stewart Title and Stewart Insurance, we'd like to give back, help the community. So our first guest is going to tell us all about some of the great things she is doing with the Houston Professional Firefighters Association. And of course, I remind you that you could see this show and of course hear it on our channel, Radio Bill. That's Radio Bill. That's the YouTube channel, or stewart.com/radio. So first, a returning guest, super person, always there to help, and especially helping the firefighters. Here she is, Elizabeth Stein. Elizabeth, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Bill. Thank you for having me back. It is always a very, very great show.
It's always good to see you, and here we are once again. So let's tell people about the organization and what you're doing to help.
Well, and I will tell you all about that. But your point about firefighters all over the nation, our Houston firefighters travel all over Texas, all the way to California. This year alone, in the last 12 months, they've been deployed to a number of different cities, helping other firefighters. It's quite a family. Once you're a firefighter and you're in that group, you are truly in a group of your brothers and sisters from that day forward. So it's what I'm doing and what I've been doing for 9 years is raising money for the local 341 to purchase equipment. And that the equipment that's purchased comes directly from requests from the different stations. So any given point in time, we can have as many as 94 stations. So it is up to them to say, oh my gosh, our apparatus needs this, or we just lost our motor on our boat, or we need a number of other things. And these are really things that the city of Houston for a very long time could not afford to buy, and they needed some fundraising. So since 2018, we got started with the first event. We're getting ready to have our 9th event on October 3rd. And all the money that we raise, we meet once a month and we spend it. We buy equipment and services.
A couple things come to mind. And by the way, October 3rd. Is that a Friday or Saturday? Saturday.
Royal Sonesta.
That's going to be nice. So we're going to talk about the event. But a few things you mentioned is equipment. First thing you think about the fire truck, right? Mm-hmm. It's red, it's big, it's there to help. But you mentioned boats too. The firefighters have a variety of vehicles that they deploy to help with fires.
They do. And one of the most rewarding things is that over time, our sponsors and supporters in this area and outside of this area have become so devoted to us that it's made it possible for us to buy wildland equipment. So we've purchased UTVs, ATVs, the boats that go down the bayou when we flood. It's lots and lots and lots of stuff. That first year we purchased F-150s because the canine fire dogs were riding around in cars where the air conditioning was unreliable. And way back then, we were supported, and the Houston Automobile Association came through and helped us, and then we spent money to outfit these trucks. So it's been a long journey and a very rewarding one to be able to see that your help actually hits the street and goes to work. In addition, we subsidize firefighters who are trying to take higher education courses. And so we will match money with them. In some instances, we will pay for almost all of it. So it's really come a long way. We do services and family services as well as we do equipment.
So the money that people donate go to buying equipment primarily. The first thing people that might be listening will say, well, wait a minute. They already have the trucks that's in our taxes and so forth. Why do they need money from the general public to buy more equipment? How does that work?
Obviously, there is a lot of budgetary guidelines that change things. But all you really have to do is get out on the street of Houston and any street and see the congestion and the number of people that we have and the number of accidents. So I don't even have final statistics for 2025, but literally end of 2024, our firefighters had answered over 400,000 calls.
Whoa.
And if an apparatus goes down at one station, then they have to reach out to another station, which pulls an apparatus or a fire truck or an emergency vehicle out of their territory into another territory. So it's, yes, there are budgeted items, but it has not been enough over the last few years. There's been situations where we haven't been able to keep equipment up, and now you start paying the price just like you do in your own home. So it's really getting better, I would say, over the last year. We've really seen an uptick in the support, from the city, support from donors, and so it's moving in the right direction.
And that's the key. It's not enough, and that's where you step in to help. And you've been doing so for years.
Yeah.
And the community of Houston, the large, ever-growing community in every direction, certainly thanks you. But I know the firefighters, they love Elizabeth Stein, just like we do here on the show.
Well, you're kind. That's very sweet of you. I will say, and I really want your guests to hear, that 3.5 years ago, the Academy was not getting applicants that they are now. Now there's a wait list to the Academy. So the graduating classes and the number of firefighters getting back on the street is growing. We were down by thousands, 3 or 4 years ago. Now we are really replenishing our city and shoring up everybody's territory, everybody's neighborhood. So it gives you a really good feeling.
So tell us about the Academy. What's going? That means if I want to be a firefighter, I could join the Academy. I'm
you have to get on.
Probably they don't want me, but if I were younger, maybe they would.
They might want you. They're not going to tell you what they might want you to do, but they might want you. I don't know if they're going to give you a fire hose. The Academy is amazing. It's out by Hobby Airport. It's Well, you would have to fill out an application to answer your original question. And then, of course, for a very few months here, we've had a wait list. But when you go out there, you are training on buildings, you're training on props, containers, you're training in all capacities. And I had the real pleasure and privilege to be out at the Academy a few months back when we had funded a water mapping training piece. I don't know it's a water mapping, and they build a building and they shoot fire hoses into it. But the beauty of it was that firefighters from all over the United States came to see our water mapping apparatus. It's not an apparatus, water mapping thing. So they named it Train the Trainer, and all of these firefighters that are high up in different cities came and went through this training. And it was so great that Houston could share that. It was great.
Well, Houston leads the way. I'm thinking in the real estate profession, we lead the way in so many professions. Even our HAR is studied by other cities and in other states. So, it's not surprising that the things that the firefighters are doing are of note to where people are saying, hey, I wonder what they're doing. Let's go check it out. And speaking of Marty Langton, let's tell people, because we want to say hi to Marty. He's the president.
That's right. He's the president.
And we've talked to him. He's been on the show before. But give us an idea what he's doing lately and how he's enhancing the team.
Marty is, without a doubt, one of the busiest people. You can only imagine, between helping lobby do things in Austin, bring money to Houston, dealing with the day-to-day, running several boards. Even like they just had elections. So the local 341 just had elections. It's vast, the things that he must cover in a work day. And I would say this too about the rest of his team. It's the same. They all work so incredibly hard on everything that's on their plate, and there's lots on their plate. So he's back just as busy. He's away at convention this week, and he was instrumental in helping get the $5 million plus that were given to UT Health to study firefighters and cancer and how the work that they do impacts their lives and cancer. And that study started, don't hold me to it, but I think it got into play about a year ago. So he's been very helpful and instrumental, and he loves it. So, it's easy to do what you love.
And again, let's tell people how many firefighters are there in the Houston area? Do we have a number?
Well, I did know 8 years ago, 9 years ago that we were. I know. Yeah. Well, we had 94 stations, and there were 4,000 and something.
There's 94 stations.
There were, but that number changes.
Okay.
But there were about 94 stations then. So I'm not sure what it is today because it is a moving number, and there were over 4,000 firefighters. Well, we lost. Since I was involved, many firefighters, we were running way behind. They were retiring. They were moving to other communities. They were starting a second business because, to enhance the lives of their families and themselves. But now we aren't as short as we were. So in the last couple of years, year and a half, 2 years, our force is back up. And I think we're probably getting close to needing maybe 300 or 400, and
get the application.
So bring them.
Yeah. Okay, so we remind people if they want to help the Houston firefighters and donate, what should people do?
Quickest, easiest way would be to go on to houstonsbravest.org, and when you go to that site, you will see ways to give money to the gala. You will see ways to give money directly to the union. You'll see the newest event is the clay shoot. It'll be in its third year in February 19th, 2027. So this has drawn a lot of companies to come out and be sponsors. And so they put their names on their carts, and the teams are everything. We've got teams of women, teams of men. We've got firefighters. We have real estate agents. We've got doctors that take the day off. So that's also on the website. So there's a lot of different ways to give. You will just explore the site, and there's really a lot to learn.
There it is. So houstonsbravest.org.
Correct.
You can and it, not just the event, the gala that's coming up October 3rd, Saturday night.
Right.
You could donate all year long to help,
right,
because the firemen never sleep, right? I mean, they're always in a ready mode. So houstonsbravest.org. And then again, the gala. Can anybody go to this? Because it's a tremendous event, and it seems like here's October coming up again. It goes by so quickly.
It goes by so quickly.
But if someone wants to go to the event, what should they do?
So you can purchase tickets.
houstonbravest.org again.
Right there.
Everything's there.
And you can sponsor items, and you can just give money and not go. Some people like to buy tables. Some people only want a seat or two seats. But it's a big event, and we have sold out several years. We have a live auction. We have big board. We have silent, big board, and live, which raises an enormous amount of money. And thank you to all of our donors in the community, because the stores, the hotels, they're all very eager to help us out each year, and consequently, just that portion of it raises several $100,000. So,
well, I would say keep up the great work,
Thank
Elizabeth
you.
Stein, houstonsbravest.org.
firefightersrealty.org. And I know when you're on the show, especially, sometimes even when you're not on, Elizabeth, the firefighters are listening intently to the show because they want to know about real estate. They want to buy houses. Yeah. And remember the time when one of the firefighters was riding along on the way to an arson call with the firefighting dog, and they heard our show.
That's right.
And they said, hey, Elizabeth,
that's right.
Show. So all that
we thank
said,
you very much, Bill, for putting us out there. So.
We want to do that. Stewart Title and Stewart Insurance, we're there to help the community as much as we can. But also, this is a time to say a word. If you're listening, you're a firefighter, you're a veteran firefighter, not just here in Houston, anywhere in the world that hears this show. We thank you 1,000-fold, especially we remember those that have lost their lives. There have been people that have lost their lives in the line of duty, and that's terrible. Firefighter, it's dangerous, so we appreciate the bravery. And, of course, the website is houstonsbravest.org. And, if you're a policeman out there, we love you too. Right, Elizabeth?
We love you too.
Sounds good. houstonsbravest.org. And Elizabeth is doing so many things. She might even tell us about something else later in the show. Elizabeth, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
As we continue, let's talk to Jeff Riley and Curtis Brawley. They are with Next Home Realty Center. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Bill. Thanks for having us.
How are you, sir?
It's good to see you guys. First of all, let's tell people Next Home Realty Center. Let's tell people about the company.
Sure. We're out in the Cypress area. We serve the greater Houston market. We have about 40 agents. Jeff and I personally have owned the company for about 6 years. And we have the motto of really getting out and serving people and not making real estate about houses, but about people in our community. And that's what we're all about.
Cypress, all the areas around Cypress, for those listening outside of Houston, that's a northwest part of the city, kind of, sort of. But it's a very popular area right now. Let's tell people, Jeff, as far as the marketplace, people probably ask you all the time, how's the market in your area?
It's funny that you say that, Bill, because people ask all the time, how is the real estate market in Houston? Well, Houston is not a real estate market. It is actually hundreds of little submarkets in Houston. Cypress itself was actually in the top 10 or 15 of the fastest growing suburbs in the nation.
Yeah.
And we have Howard Hughes, who's putting a lot of money into Cypress right now with Bridgeland, and a lot of companies moving out there. In fact, if you've heard, the Toro Center is supposed to be built out in Cypress.
Yes, the Toro District is the new Houston Texans headquarters that's going to be out in Bridgeland, right off of the Grand Parkway. 83 acres, going to be a new training facility, 3 outdoor NFL fields, all kinds of restaurants, hotels, apartments, a big, huge entertainment complex around the Houston Texans.
Well, one thing I know is, especially as I drive on 99 North, again, those listening from afar, it's west of the city, but it's one of the loops around Houston.
Right.
You go up and down 99, there's construction everywhere. There's trucks. There's built like you're talking about. It's amazing.
Yeah, there's massive amounts of development happening out in that part of town. And kind of what Jeff was saying in regards to the Houston real estate market, there's so many different sub-markets within the market. What's happening in Cypress may not necessarily reflect what's happening in Katy. And then what's happening in the Heights of Houston is not necessarily what's happening in the Energy Corridor or Memorial City of the Western Houston area. And even further than that, some of the areas in Cypress, you can even dive down further into neighborhoods. What's happening in Bridgeland as a market may be completely different in what's happening in Fairfield in the Cypress market area. So you really just have to pinpoint the area that you're looking at and to really dive into what is that specific market of that market doing.
And in your market, how often are you seeing people that come from out of the state, out of the city?
I would say, COVID changed so much for people, and commute has really played more of an influence on where people want to buy now, and people want size. So I feel like we've seen a lot of transition from inner city out to the suburbs because people can get 5,000 square feet for the price of 2,000 square feet in the city. They still miss being in that inner loop market, but they just want some space away from the family. They're locked up with the kids, for 2, 3, 4 days at a time during COVID. And I think that really reset the mind, not to mention companies have gone to telecommuting a lot more commonly than we saw, 15 years ago, where you had to come into the office. So the bigger houses with an office with more place to operate at home, I think home has become more than just a home. It's a day-long place to operate.
It's your castle, right?
Right.
So we work from home, we recreate, all those things. Well, if you were to itemize, let's say maybe just a few bullet points of why people go to Cypress, why do they want Cypress as their home?
A lot of convenience. Pretty much anything that you want to have access to is right down the street in Cypress. There's so much development. There's so much opportunity for appreciation when you invest in real estate in the Cypress area. I think that's a big a drawing point for that area of town. We live in Bridgeland ourselves, and the largest HEB in Texas is about 2 miles from our front door. So
It's great.
It's an amazing establishment. And we've talked to people who've relocated out of the Texas area, and we say, well, how do you like your new home? They're like, we love it, but man, we miss HEB.
Well, there's that. But also the development. I even saw going to Tomball not that long ago, a few weekends. There's another Costco that looks like it's being born. So many great things. So you're seeing, when you see people from out of the city and the state, where are they coming from primarily, and they find Next Home Realty?
Well, for several years now, we've seen a lot of people relocating from the West Coast, mainly California, coming to this part of the country. And I think a lot of those companies that were in those areas have maybe migrated and relocated their headquarters to the Houston area. So a lot of those employees are also relocating as well. So that's where we see most of the people come from. I don't see a lot of people leaving the Houston area and relocating, but we see more people coming in, and it's mainly from the West Coast from my experience.
And let's say when you're talking to someone, Curtis, that is on the West Coast, and they call you perhaps or text or however they reach you, how do they find your company, Next Home Realty?
Well, fortunately, our company has been in pretty steadily year over year in the top 15 of real estate brokerages out of Next Home offices, and we have over 600 offices in the country. So when people are Googling for an office, we often come up and people read the reviews. We have great reviews, and people reach out to us looking for someone they trust.
And also, you mentioned you have the 40 agents, so you have a tremendous team to help people when they're coming in or when they're selling too.
Yeah, we like to think that, we are large enough to provide all the tools and resources that's needed for someone to make an important decision in their life, but small enough that all the agents know each other's names, the owners know every agent's name. So we have that kind of boutique feel, but are able to operate on a large scale.
As I walked into the studio today, one of the people here in sales at iHeartMedia asked me about Cypress. And he was talking from the standpoint of, if I ever wanted, he lives in Cypress, if I ever want to sell my home in Cypress, how do you advise, Jeff, the sellers right now? If you're sitting with someone on a listing presentation, how are you advising them to be able to sell for the most in the quickest amount of time?
So I definitely think the market and how we approach the market has shifted tremendously. 6 years ago, we were in a I want to market. We are now in an I need to market. So there's a lot more inventory, a lot more competition out there. Builders have become a huge competitor in the market. And I think having a strategic plan and pricing is very important from day one. You don't have that time to sit there and hope that you might get that price and ask for 20% higher than that, or you're going to get it. Buyers now have a choice. They have options that they get to choose from. 6 years ago, you just bought a house and renovated it once you got there because there was nothing else to purchase. That has changed.
Sounds like part of the message is price it right.
Price it right.
Right?
Yeah, Jeff has a slogan that he says often that you should tell everybody, because I think it hits it home.
And it does. If you underprice a home, the market will correct you. If you overprice a home, the market will punish you.
That sounds good. Say that again, just for the fun of it.
If you underprice a home, in any asset, If you underprice, the market will correct you. If you overprice, it will punish you.
There you go. Makes sense. So as far as then the seller, let's say you're listing my home that I don't if I had a home in Cypress. So you're saying, hey, I have to price it right. What other things do I need to do or sellers need to do to make sure that they sell their home in the right amount of time?
Make sure you know who your buyer market is and where they're coming from, and then get in front of them. Like I said, we are in a market that where buyers are only buying because they need to. They're still shaky about interest rates. They're shaky about, the high prices. But if they're being relocated, they have to buy something. We need to get in front of those people. So I think knowing the product you have and who is the proper consumer for that product and getting in front of them is key.
And knowing what your competition is. And a lot of the resale sellers are having to really pay attention to, do they have builders, new builds in their market? And is that competition? Because builders are able to offer all types of purchasing incentives and interest rate buy downs and all these pretty financing packages that will draw a buyer. So a resale seller needs to be aware of that and make sure that they're pricing their home right, making sure it's presentable and looks great, because that's the competition down the street from them.
And when you say new builds, one of the things we would bring forth, correct me if I'm wrong, is in Cypress, thus the trucks, the gravel, all those things that are happening. There's a lot of new builds in Cypress.
There's a lot of neighborhoods that are new developments and brand new homes being built.
And the positive side, if you want a new home, the builders are giving incentives. Would that
They're
be
offering
correct?
great incentives right now.
So then if I'm trying to sell my house, I have to be mindful of that's my competition.
That's correct.
Interesting that in the Woodlands, they say there's not much new construction. So like you were saying earlier, each part of Houston, right?
Yeah, it's a sub-market within a market.
And you guys are the broker owners of Next Home, right?
That's correct.
Correct.
So when you see agents all the time, you've got 40 on your team, you probably want to grow the team every now and then. But many people see the shows, maybe they listen to a radio show, the TV shows. Hey, that's easy. I could be it looks easy, right? But it's not.
No,
so
it's
what
not.
if you were to say, Curtis, what are the attributes of that's someone that's going to be a successful realtor? When you look at them and they're asking about the profession, what do you think are the main attributes?
Well, I'll tell you, I would say 90% of the realtors I see who are brand new licensed, they have this inclination that they're going to go get their real estate license, and then the business is just going to start falling in their laps. And that could not be further from the truth. When you get your real estate license, you are opening your own business. You're an entrepreneur, and you have to get out and you have to work hard. You have to learn the contracts. You have to network, get out on social media and do all of the things that market a new business and grow that business. And it takes a long time. So I think the most important thing when a new realtor is looking for a place to hang their license, a brokerage to work for, a lot of realtors make the mistake by looking for a brokerage that's the most affordable. And sometimes that ends up costing them the most. They need to focus on looking for a brokerage that can help support them and help their business grow, and not focus so much on what it may cost or may not cost to be at a brokerage. Because you can pick the cheapest, and you might 2 years down the road haven't closed one deal, versus pick someone that's in the middle and that's going to really support you and teach you and help you grow, and you're going to get a much better return on your investment that way.
And Jeff, you probably have a word on that too. What do you think?
I do. This has been the most difficult way, I guess the most difficult thing for me to ever relay is the most valuable asset that I have to offer is also the hardest asset for me to value, and that's culture. If you go to any office, if you're working with a home buyer, we all tell our buyers, we're going to know as soon as you walk in that door whether you love that home or not. We know before you know.
See it. Yep.
You feel it. If you don't feel that in the brokers that you're interviewing with, forget all the expenses, because if they're charging half as much, you may be wasting half as much every month. Go to where you feel like you're at home. Go to culture. Culture will drive success.
Contact. If someone wants to reach out to you, maybe they want to be part of the team, or they need help buying or selling their home anywhere in Houston, but certainly the Cypress area, what should people do, Curtis?
If you're looking to buy or sell, you can just Google us, Next Home Realty Center, or go to nexthomerealtycenter.com, and you can find all the information, see a list of our roster. And if you're a licensed agent or about to be licensed and you're looking for a place to grow your business, you can go to curiousaboutnexthome.com, and you can learn all kinds of information about us there. We also have our phone number. You can reach out at 281-213-6200. 281-213-6200.
We're talking with Curtis Brawley and Jeff Riley with Next Home Realty Center.
I do want to bring up one thing. I've talked about culture, and our office and ourselves have been through a lot of trauma the last few years since COVID, like many people. Part of that is I've always told agents that when you're going through troubling times, whether you think that you're hiding it or not, that bleeds through to your buyers. They can sense that stress and that anxiety that you have. So Curtis and I have gotten together. We're launching our first Gulf Coast Regional Conference. It's Mind Over Market, and it's about working on your mental health to better succeed in your real estate business. We have, 11 speakers coming, and Tesla is a sponsor. They're going to drive everybody back and forth to Topgolf. And
Yeah, when your mindset is strong, your business will be strong.
No doubt. You
So
must
we're-
have the correct mindset, right?
That's absolutely right.
And when is the event?
the event is October 5th and 6th right here in Houston. It's actually in the Energy Corridor. It is a 2-day event, and it goes from 8 a.m. until
4 p.m.
about 4:30 p.m.
And if someone wants to know about that, is there a website or they contact you?
GCRconference.org.
GCRconference.org. One last thing. Okay, Jeff, you have the shirt that has dogs on it. Let's tell people, you also have a mascot with the company.
We do. Our mascot's name is Luke, and there is a incredible story behind Luke, but you're not going to find out here. Go to our website, look for the story behind Luke, and you will find out exactly how Luke came about.
He's probably listening to the show right
He
now.
probably is.
Gentlemen, thanks for being with us. The website again is?
NextHomeRealtyCenter.com.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Well, no real estate show would be complete without talking about the lifeblood of a real estate transaction, and that is money. Here he is from Rate Mortgage, the maestro of mortgage, Chris Kelso, and one of the hosts of the Real Estate Rat Pack, heard right here on this same station every Saturday at 8 a.m. Mr. Kelso, welcome to the show.
How you doing, Bill? Thank you very much for having me today.
Known you now for, 13, 14 years.
I think it's
My first radio experience was with you, Chris
That is
Kelso.
correct. Yep.
I was a guest on a different show, The Price of Business.
The
many
Price
years
of
ago.
Business. I remember that. I called you up, and we had a individual out there and said, Bill, why don't you come on down and co-host the show with us? And the rest is history, as they say.
It really is changed my life in a tremendous way, made me want to get into this profession. But here you are, doing tremendous work in the money business for so many years, helping people when they want a loan for their properties.
Absolutely. Well, I'm with Guaranteed Rate, now known as Rate, second largest lender in the nation, actually. And, it's a lot of fun. We were talking about, obviously, Next Home and talking about what was going on there. The market, we just got out of a meeting, literally while I was running a little bit late today, was get out of a meeting a bit earlier, and we were talking about how we as a company this year are actually on one of our best years ever. And the one thing I will say is you got to take out all that information, all this national information, national news out there. That's all the gloom and doom and what's going on. The reality is the market is what you make of it. The only thing that's really happening right now is the individuals that are top producers are separating themselves from the individuals who are not producing. The reality is individuals who take this seriously, who, as our individuals or next time we're talking about, price a home correctly, know how to treat buyers, know how to get out there and hustle, whether it be on the mortgage side or on the real estate side, they're separating themselves right now. And so what you're seeing is the individuals who are saying, oh, the market's bad, are the individuals who, unfortunately, are just not focused in on the business like they used to. And the individuals out there, some of your top producers are all like, guess what? It's going really good for me right now, because that's their focus. And I think one of the things we're going to start seeing in this market going forward is hopefully we're going to see more of this, is individuals are either going to take this totally seriously and make it their full-time job, or they're going to be out of the business. And I think it's about time for all that. We've had it in the mortgage business for a long time. We have less than 100,000 originators nationwide right now. So if you look at that perspective, it's a lot less than what we were back in 2008 when there was a little over 1 million.
And that's one of the things we talk about here on the show is I don't know what the number, 40-some thousand people have a license to sell real estate in Houston.
Right.
I never thought about how many people are competing and have licenses to offer mortgages. Do you have an idea in the Houston area?
And in the Houston
There's a
area,
bunch.
yeah, Houston area is probably a little less than 15,000. But that also accumulates. It might be an individual who really is licensed in multiple states. So they could be out of Florida and they're licensed in Texas, or California licensed in Texas, et cetera, et cetera. Me, myself, I'm licensed in 9 states, but I really only do business in 3 of them. I do in California, Texas, and Florida.
I can talk on the radio in any state, by the way. Just saying.
Absolutely.
I have no restrictions.
I would agree there, absolutely.
Until someone puts them upon me. But other than that, what's the most common question people ask you?
I would say the common question people ask me right now is, what are rates doing?
Don't they always say that?
Where are rates going?
What's the rate?
And I'll tell you the funniest thing is last week I closed 3 veterans and they were all in the 5s. And I hear this national news, people are saying, oh, well, rates are moving up, rates are moving up.
They were in the 5s?
Yeah, they were in the 5s, in the higher 5s, And let me tell you, the reality is an interest rate in the higher 5s or even the lower 6s is a balanced market. It's not bad. I think one of the things that took place, especially during COVID, is people were looking at 2% interest rates, and they thought that was the norm. Well, guess what? COVID was not the norm to begin with. I mean, none of us thought we were going to close down the economy, right, and be where we are today. And so the reality is rates in the 5s and the 6s is actually a very healthy market. When I first got in the business in 2000, right, average interest rates were probably about 11% back then. And it was funny. We were refinancing individuals who were going from 11% to a 10%, then a 10% to a 9%, then a 9% to an 8%. And once it got down for many, many, many years in the 7s, everyone thought, oh my gosh, this is great. They finally are coming down to a reasonable level. Right before COVID hit, they were probably averaging in the high 4s. Then COVID hit, and they obviously went down a lot less than that. But where we're currently standing today, if you look at national numbers, it's pretty interesting. Since they've been tracking mortgages, I think the average rate over the past 50 years is like 8.25%. We're still 2 points below that. So, individuals who are worried about where interest rates are, people don't buy homes because of an interest rate. They don't sell homes because of an interest rate. They buy it because of lifestyle changes. They're getting married, they're getting divorced, they're having kids, they're moving up, they're moving down. And so that's really what happens. And I will say this is, I talked to my daughter about this the other day. The younger you are, the better it is to start investing in real estate. And the reason why is you can actually take advantage of your youth, and you can take advantage of building equity over a period of time that you can turn into another investment property. You can sell and buy a larger property in the future. It's never a bad time to invest in real estate, no matter what the rate is doing.
Well, and when we think about the rate, it goes without saying, but I'll say it. It depends on your credit history. It depends on all sorts of things. So the rate is a rate, and then it's fine-tuned to the person or the family or couple that are buying the property, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, one of the things, I'd say the biggest mistake most individuals think out there is, number one is, my credit's too bad, I don't qualify, right? And so a lot of individuals don't realize is we can get somebody financed at a 500 credit score on an FHA loan or even on a VA loan. So number one is, don't take yourself out of the market because you think your credit's too low. However, what does happen, though, is the higher credit scores that you have, the better terms you're going to get. You're going to get usually a better deal on a 30-year fixed or a 15-year fixed. But the problem is, I think too many people talk to individuals who are not in the business and end up keeping themselves out of the market. That's what ultimately ends up happening right there.
Well, that's why they should reach out to you and other professionals, you, Chris Kelso, at Rate Mortgage. And that brings up the thing I like to ask, because I started the show talking about how we like to help the community, help in different ways, different causes and things like that. But I think there are other important causes. Okay. But there's something that's so important is the young people. You mentioned your daughter.
Right.
I have grandchildren. I have a son. But I don't know what they're teaching them in school, but I don't know that they're teaching them how important your credit score is. And if they're not, they should be doing that. So as a parent and being a person in this profession all this time, what do you tell your daughter and your son about a credit score? Why is it important? Because they're thinking about other stuff. But
right. They think of everything else out there. So I had the great fortune to have my daughter come work with me this summer. So she's 20 years old. She is a junior this year at University of Arizona.
Wow.
And, she's a very smart girl, so very good. Now she knows mortgages, which is pretty cool. And she actually did such a good job, big shout out to her, such a good job during the summer, the company has retained her for next semester.
Wow.
And so it's pretty amazing from that perspective. But I got to also work with her and on a lot of stuff that are financial literacy type things, right? One of the things that I did as a parent, I was very involved. I was in KDISD, and I was very involved in getting involved with KDISD to do financial education. So I would go into different high schools and junior highs and teach individuals about all the different aspects of financial education. I think that's a lack of what we're doing nowadays. If you ask an individual who's 20 years old today how they balance a checkbook, their question's going to be is, what's a checkbook?
What's a checkbook? Exactly.
Right. The reality of, and so
I got Bitcoin, right?
Right.
Here.
I got Bitcoin, right? I've got Cash App. I've got all these other things, PayPal. So the reality is, I think we have to get a little bit back to basics. We have to show individuals what it is to invest, what it is to balance a checkbook, what it is to create savings. I mean, one of the things my daughter did a great job is she said, hey, Dad, everything I'm going to earn this summer, 50% of it goes into my savings account. And I said, well, you know what, let's do something even further. Let's grab your savings account and let me show you how you can actually take that and invest it at a young age, and compounding interest over a period of time will actually be better for you. And so I've showed her a lot of those things. I had the good fortune to be able to do so, but a lot of individuals don't have that all the time, right? They don't have necessarily a mentor or a father or a parent who has that financial literacy behind them. And so I would say is, as a parent, get with somebody, call me up, call a friend up, call somebody who's successful in the financial world, and do a better job of getting your school, your children, your civic organization, whatever it might be, involved at a younger age to educate our youth in regards to the basics of financial principles.
And really, and even in the financial world, when you look at investments, there's this kind, there's that kind, there's CDs, there's stocks.
Right.
Hey, the credit thing is easy. Pay your bills ahead of schedule.
Well,
just pay your bills. Don't. I mean, these.
Yeah, and let me tell you something
spend more than you make.
My son's 16 years old.
Yeah.
He's a football player. My son has already created a Merrill Lynch account to start investing in. He has a group of like 4 friends. They're all into investing right now. So they get with me.
He's 16.
He's 16. He gets with me right now and says, "Hey, Dad, so what do I have to do?" And so what I did, I've got a really good friend of mine, shout out to Vu, a really good friend of mine who's a huge investor. And so he's actually put him in his investment group to show them how to invest, and now he's not doing the things such as puts and calls and everything that, he likes to do. But what he is doing is showing them how to do strategic investing, and how to understand, okay, this one right here is going to have a dividend payout to you. And this is if you hold it over a certain period of time. So it's pretty interesting. And so I will say this, we do have a whole new generation that is very interested in being more entrepreneurial, but what they have to do in that process is understand the financial aspect of being that way. I'm fortunate that I've got, obviously, my 16-year-old, my 20-year-old who are very well engaged because that's what I do. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm in mortgage.
At least they listen, though.
They listen. That is correct. They listen. But my son, speaking about HEB, my son works at HEB, one of the best companies out there, by the way, I'm just telling you. He works at HEB and he loves it, and they have a really good program they do in bringing in kids his age to be able to, put them in a great situation to be able to earn money over that period of time. But now it's a matter of continue to investing it over that period of time. And the younger you are, the better it's going to be for you.
So if you're young, pay your bills ahead of schedule. Don't
Absolutely.
Spend more than you make. There's that too.
And so the other thing I tell everybody is understand your own financial situation. Don't rely on somebody else to understand it for you.
Yep.
Because unfortunately, those individuals
point.
are going to make money somehow, and a lot of times it's going to be off of you. So understand your own financial situation and where it comes and what you have to do to be able to be successful. Yeah. You mentioned right there, credit establishment is also very important. My daughter, I showed her how to open up 2 credit cards this summer. She has 2 credit cards. She's establishing her credit. My son, I already did that with him. He has like a custodial account that I've got set up for him. There's a lot of good financial information. There's a lot of good products out there from some of your banks that I would highly suggest if you have a young individual, 15, 16, even younger than that. I've had custodial accounts on my kids since they were like 9 years old. You can get involved with that, show them how to save, show them how to set things up, and that will set them up for success, not only credit-wise, but also finances.
That said, speaking of shows, the Real Estate Rat Pack, you guys, you and Rob Cook, the godfather of real estate, you are known as the maestro of mortgage. Give people a quick word about the Real Estate Rat Pack and how they can, it's kind of like our show, but different.
Absolutely. So it airs every Saturday morning on this same exact station at 8 o'clock in the morning. And it's all about real estate. It's very similar. One of the things that Bill and I have both agreed upon for years is it's all about giving back to the community. So we bring anybody on board who has something to give back to the community, whether it be about real estate, finances, politics every once in a while, or just, civic services right there. So one of the things that we try to do is just make sure we have something that's fun, that's innovative, that you get to laugh at, that you get to put out there in the future, that you're proud of. And so, you and I have been partners in the radio show forever. You were part of one of the original Real Estate Rat Pack radio shows when you were a different company sponsors. You're familiar with our philosophy and how we are right there. But if you also want to know about things about how to invest, what the best type of mortgages are, how to inspect a home correctly, or insurance, or anything associated with the real estate process, we bring on experts just like you do on all aspects of buying or selling real estate.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and we have a great time at it, and I tell everybody is education you never know enough to say, oh, I've learned enough right there. I learned something every single day. We had a roofer on 2 weeks ago. We had actually an individual you need to have on board, Chris Johnson. He was on board talking about estate planning from wills, living trust, and some of the things you could do on there as far as protecting your asset when you first buy a home. Most individuals, the last thing they think of doing, it's probably the first thing they need to do. So some pretty cool stuff right there.
Right now, Chris, I think there's someone that's saying, hey, I need to call Chris for a loan. I don't know where. I think they're over in Conroe. I'm getting a vibe, okay? There's somewhere. People are saying, I want to call Chris Kelso. He sounds like he knows what he's doing. And you also, the thing we didn't cover, loans can be mysterious to the novice in that there's so many kinds. You mentioned the VA loan.
Yes.
But you tailor the loan to the person.
Absolutely.
Right? To the family,
so there's so many different loan types out there. You can do, we have individuals who want to do a VA loan or an FHA loan, which is a Federal Housing Administration loan, or a traditional conventional, or they might not be able to declare their income, so they do a non-QM, a bank statement loan or something like that. But you can reach me for all that information at 713-256-9138. Again, that's 713-256-9138, or you can go to my website, which is rate.com/Chris Kelso, spelled traditionally ChrisKelso. So rate.com/Chris Kelso. You can do my application there, or you can review anything you need to review in regards to a mortgage.
And for our Spanish listeners, Chris?
713-256-9138. One of the things people don't realize is yo soy de Monterrey, Mexico. And so anybody needs anything in English or in Spanish. And here's the cool thing. At Rate, we do everything 100% either in English or in Spanish. So if you have a Spanish-speaking buyer, from start to finish, including my processor, my underwriter, my closer, my funder, and the entire system that we've got, the digital mortgage application, it's all in Spanish. 713-256-9138.
Thank you, Chris Kelso.
Thank you, Bill.
Here at Stewart Title, we have title offices all over Houston. 17, 16. We have business development people there to help you, super escrow officers. It's simple. And even if you're outside of Houston, Texas, you could go to Stewart.com and find the closest office. We have people there to help you in a magnificent way. Our company started over 130 some years ago, right in Galveston, Texas, which at that time was the center of the Texas universe, no doubt about that. But Stewart Title, we grew to be a company that is now an international company traded on the stock exchange as STC. That's right, title insurance, great individuals all over Houston to help you. Stewart.com and beyond. But many people don't think about our other company that's newer, maybe 12, 14 years old, and that's Stewart Insurance. So we have title insurance at Stewart Title, and we have quote, regular insurance, whatever that is, at Stewart Insurance, stewartinsurance.com. Do you only hear from your insurance agent, rep, or advisor when it's time for renewal? Well, at Stewart Insurance, our advisors are there to help you all year long. They'll answer questions, adjusting coverage as needed, and they explain the language of insurance. I mean, insurance does have its own language. They can interpret the documents for you and the policies, and sometimes those policies need that kind of interpretation. Our advisors at Stewart Insurance are there to help you all year long. And guess what? During regular business hours, if you call 866-798-2827, a real person answers. That's right, 866-798-2827. That is a rarity these days, to call a business and a person really answers. So give them a try. You don't believe me? Call 866-798-2827. And the kind of insurance, the menu is there at stewartinsurance.com. However, home insurance, you have an investment property, vacation property, vacant home, flood insurance, wind. I saw a lot of motorcycles this weekend driving around. They, too, can get their motorcycle insurance at Stewart Insurance. Auto policies, and, of course, the forgotten umbrella policy. It's right there. Go to stewartinsurance.com. If you're a real estate broker owner, like a lot of people we know in the profession, you have business liability, E&O insurance, cyber liability, all the great real estate businesses insurance that you're going to need to protect you from all the things out there. Go to stewartinsurance.com or give them a call at 866-798-2827. That's stewartinsurance.com. Well, as we wind up the show, here they are. They're back, Jeff Riley and Curtis Braley, Next Home Realty Center. They're the brokers doing tremendous work in the Cypress area primarily, but all over Houston. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bill. It's good to be back. Main thing is I want to reiterate that the most valuable asset that any brokerage can offer is culture, and it's also the hardest asset for your broker to value. So make sure that you feel the culture, and if you're not contributing to the culture, you're probably still in the wrong place.
All that said, if I wanted to join Next Home, let's say I had a real estate license and all that, if I wanted to join, would I have any fun, though, if I learn all the bit? Could we have a little fun along the way?
If you're in the right culture, you have a lot of fun along the way.
There you go. Well said. And Curtis, final word.
Jeff always brings the fun. The other thing I would say is if our friends over at Rate, they were talking earlier about having some Spanish-speaking loan officers. We have Spanish-speaking realtors. So if you're getting a loan over at Rate with the Spanish speaker and you need a Spanish-speaking realtor, come see us. You can find us at nexthomerealtycenter.com, or you can hit us on the phone at 281-213-6200.
Covering so many bases. Again, if they want to reach out to you guys at Next Home Realty, that's Jeff and Curtis, what should they do?
nexthomerealtycenter.com.
Thank you guys for being with us.
Thanks so much for having us. It was a good time.
And now, I do want to say something about our studio audience. Yes, that's right. Our show has tremendous guests, but every now and then we bring around a studio audience right here with us. We have Kim Dawkins. We talk about business development officers and at Stewart Title. We have the best. And right there in Cypress, Kim's office is leading the charge in a tremendous way all the time. Kim Dawkins. She brought Curtis and Jeff here today. You can reach out to Kim because she does events, all sorts of things, educational things. You can reach out to Kim at 713-203-8640. That's 713-203-8640. Kim with the great escrow officers there at Cypress Stewart Title. It's magnificent. It's growing every day. Check them out. I know you want to bring your real estate transaction over there. Go and see Kim. And finally, we have Elizabeth Stein is coming back to say a final word. Elizabeth Stein, welcome back. Elizabeth is with the Houston Professional Firefighters Association, helping donations, helping the firefighters every day. Elizabeth, let's tell people the website. We have the big event coming up October 3rd, the gala, helping the firefighters, but they can help all year long, right?
You can help us all year long in any way. HoustonsBravest.org. You can buy tickets to the event, you can buy tickets to the clay shoot, and you can buy the calendar. So just get on there and you'll have a world of information, and we can use all of your help and appreciate all of your help. HoustonsBravest.org. Once again, we say thank you, firefighters. Thank you for policemen out there, not just in Houston, but far beyond. And thank you all for listening to the show. Also, a good friend of mine is here as part of the audience. His name is Richard House. Richard is not in real estate, but his wife, Joan House, is. So check out Joan. Maybe she'll be a guest someday here on the show, but it's Joan House Realty. Check her out. And again, thank you all for listening to Real Estate Matters with Stewart Title. I am your host, Bill Knapik. Together with all of us at Stewart Title and Stewart Insurance, you can check out this show. You want to see the glasses that Jeff had on? They're tremendous. Go to the YouTube channel, Radio Bill. That's right. You can see all the guests, their special effects, car chases, so many things at Radio Bill. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.